New Growth on Exhibition Road is a design competition organized by London Festival of Architecture, Discover South Kensington and the V&A, testing how biodiversity and ecology can be interwoven in the public realm of Exhibition Road, while also supporting a wider post-pandemic recovery of London's arts and culture district. Each of the 3 selected design teams have been paired with one of the local institutions, the V&A, Goethe Institute and the Science Museum, to work up a specific design relevant to their selected site. The result? A fantastic series of 3 green installations with sustainability and ecology at their heart. An algae factory, a nest-like timber lattice, and giant slices of a decommissioned turbine blade. My name is Rosa Rogina, I'm the director of London Festival of Architecture, and I hope you enjoy the series.
Algae Meadow is an installation that basically connects the ecology and the aquatic biodiversity in the Serpentine Lake to Exhibition Road through an installation that has an algae factory at the top in a canopy that produces algae, and it's about looking at how algae can basically be a biofertilizer for plants and also a nutritional food for people as well. So it was like looking at how all the different properties algae has in the installation, both harvesting it and cultivating it, using it in the hydroponic system, but also like thinking of how it can be used in the built environment through like painting and staining of the timber. So yeah, really trying to showcase it as an amazing like aquatic organism.
In a way, it's a really nice way of exploiting a sort of classical relationship, land, water, people. It's a really interesting triad to be able to explore. And initially it was that edge condition between the lake and land, which is that there's algae seep into the ground and they can act as natural fertilizers. And that was sort of the initial thing. And then, because the brief was all about plants and the biodiversity of an area, so that was the land kind of covered. And then we sort of brought the people back into it as well. Algae is an amazing sort of potential future, as a lot of architectures are exploiting, but it's also nice to consider it in the much more sort of smaller ways, and how we can interact with it, whether it is as a food or a fuel or a fertilizer.
My name's Seyi Adelekun and I'm an artist and architectural designer, born and raised in London. And yeah, I studied architecture at university, but also since then have like experience in working for arts organisation, art production, art fabrication, set design, teaching. So very into multidisciplinary practices.
And I'm Tom Kendall, and I run Wayward, which is a landscape art and architecture practice. Also studied architecture at university, but went on to sort of break out slightly into more greener things. And we started our practice as a plant adoption arts piece, as a way of exploring people's relationship to plants. And as a result of that, we've evolved our practice to encourage our relationships to green spaces ever since.
I heard about it on Instagram through actually Manisha, who works at the V&A. She posted it like actually a week or like 5 days before the deadline. And it was that classic thing of being like, oh, if only I'd seen this a month ago. But I had a feeling it was very like the brief really like spoke to me, and it was something I wanted to engage with, more about ecology and architecture that promotes biodiversity in the city. So yeah, I was like, I have to do this. It was a great opportunity.
And then I got an email out of the blue from somebody I'd never met before. How did you actually find us?
So when I heard about the opportunity, I was like, okay, like, you know, I really want to do this, but I think I need someone with a bit more experience who's been doing it for longer. And I've been following Wayward for a while now, really like love the work and the work you've been doing. And I was like, okay, they're the right people. It just made sense. It clicked. So.
And it was both, there was like 2 days left before the deadline, and we had this frantic phone call, and I was like, oh, well, let's see if we can come up with an idea in 24 hours. And 48 hours later, there was a proposal.
Yeah, that's kind of how sometimes things work.
Also slightly classic Wayward, I think, as well, sort of, let's do it quickly. Overall, like working on this project has been incredibly fast, because we both do like other jobs as well. I think it's been really exciting. It's had to sort of fit in and around lots of things. It was all done digitally, lots of Zoom and WhatsApp, copious amounts of screenshots being sent to one another. But it was in a way, it was a really interesting moment, because it was a whole new way to collaborate that we'd not really explored before. And so that was a really exciting part of this, I think, as well. But it was nice as well, because we also then brought in fabricators that we had sort of existing relationships with, so we could sort of use those. So it was a really nice way of, whilst tapping into this new community and space, of actually sort of also forging some good relationships with our own networks as well, which was really nice.
Yeah, for me, this project was really taking my practice to like a bigger scale. Like this is the biggest project I've been involved in terms of a commission with an institution and then a wider government body. So like it was really like learning from Tom and experience. Like I really valued that, exchange and this partnership that we had in collaboration, and really trying to like stretch my skills and my experience. So it was a really like informative and learning process.
But actually, it's also like the project as a whole, actually, it's been the sort of the collaborative side of it that's sort of been really engaging. And I'm glad you learned something. That was really nice.
Yeah.
We've been doing this for 13 years. So it was really nice actually to sort of go slightly back and remember what it was like to be fresh and learning, but also because I teach a lot. I teach at UCL, I teach at Middlesex, so I'm quite used to the sort of the mentoring attitude, but it's a very different thing when you're doing it in the real world. University is a very standalone experience and often doesn't actually cover that. So a really nice thing that we also did when it came to the project was bring in our other communities. So I brought in my students, and Seyi, your group is?
Yeah, I brought in women from Black Females in Architecture Network. So really wanting to like bring younger people starting in their career, still in education, and give them that building experience, because that was very pivotal to my development of my career. And at the moment when COVID is happening, like no one's had the opportunity to be on a live build or even be in person. Yeah. So it was a great like gift we could give to them, and it would exchange again, not just between us, but with the wider community as well.
Yeah, and it's nice as well because a lot of those relationships have now continued. I'm actually now working with one of the students on other projects since then as well. So it's actually sort of set up a longer term relationship too. Best thing, just say yes and go for it. If you've only got 24 hours left for a deadline, definitely just submit it. Whether you'll do 30 applications and one will come through, but it's always worth that last shot. If you really believe in the idea and you really want to push it, even when Seyi sort of suggested this, we sort of said yes and we were like, oh, I'm not sure how we're going to achieve half of that, but let's go for it anyway. And we've been doing it 13 years. So it's kind of like, maybe let's see what we can achieve. So even for us, it was a trial by error situation, and it worked really well.
Yeah, I think one thing is this project's really allowed me to like indulge in creativity. Small projects like this, compared to big, large, architecture development, it allows you to be really creative. And I just went on a feeling and a passion and ambition with a love of a subject and wanting to tell the world and tell that narrative. And I think also knowing that it's important to collaborate, like go for it, like pitch something and find the people and connect with the people who you think can build that team and that like practice. The biggest and most like effective and, successful projects come through collaboration.
Yeah, I would agree completely on that, because it wasn't just been us two as well. There's my colleague Heather in LA. We've also worked with an engineer. We've worked with UCL and Imperial. We had several different institutions alongside the V&A that were helping us out, even in small ways. And actually that sort of, even on a project that was it 20 grand? It's a very small project in the grand scheme of things, but having 5-6 different core relationships just to achieve what is essentially a very simple timber archway actually shows the sort of the complex relationship of an ecology, in a way, of an environment. So it's a really nice way to run a project.
Yeah. It is just, even though it is a timber structure, it is alive and active and still requires work. And it's something that didn't finish at completion when you're working with live organisms. Yeah. It really shows you the importance architects and designers have a role to continue think about the life after design and completion, whatever that means. So it's really taught me a lot about that. So yeah.
There's no such thing as completion.
There's no such completion.
Ever with plants.
And the same with buildings. There always needs to be an interaction and a care and a maintenance that we need to think about. So yeah, it's definitely made me really aware. Like I've never done something with a live, material before. So really thinking about, okay, how do we sustain this? What's the life afterwards? Something that we all should start like really embedding in our practice.
Yeah, plants and people, that's where it's at.
Yeah.